Did you have a pet hamster growing up? I remember having a couple of friends that had them when I was younger, but I never actually had one myself until last summer. They actually require a lot more care than you would expect. The website Baby Center lists them as one of the 5 worst pets for kids, funnily enough, even though I feel like I knew a lot of people growing up that had them. Today I will be talking about the different types of hamsters, proper cages for them, and what types of food they can eat. First, there are 3 main types of hamsters. There is the Syrian hamster, which is the type that I have. They are the most common type, and they're generally said to be the best type for beginners. They are usually friendlier, they don't bite as much, and they're a lot easier for you to handle. The second type is a dwarf hamster. They're very small and fast. They're also very cute. That is the kind that I had originally wanted to get when I went to get a hamster, but after speaking with the salesperson, he recommended that I get the Syrian just because I had never had a hamster before. And dwarf hamsters, they're usually a lot more known to bite, and they're not usually as friendly as Syrian hamsters. And then there's the Chinese hamster. They are very similar in size to a dwarf hamster, and they are also very fast. They do tend to be a little bit friendlier than the dwarf hamster. Then for proper cages for hamsters, the minimum size is 450 square inches that is recommended by the Humane Society. They might not look like it, but for hamsters, for their cage, bigger is better. If you can get a really big cage for them in your house, like if you have enough room, they definitely will appreciate it. I know a lot of people will complain about hamsters like chewing on the bars and stuff and like trying to escape from their cage. Generally, the reason that they do that is because their cage is not big enough or they don't have enough stuff in there to keep them entertained. Usually for cages, people get wire cages, which is what I have. Mine is 600 square inches. I've never had any problems with him like chewing on his cage or anything like that, or he's never escaped from it, and I've had him almost a year now. People also get glass tanks for them, like big fish tanks. Those you can get really big ones, so it fits the size requirement for them. The only time that wouldn't really work out is if your hamster, some of them, they really like to climb on the bars and stuff of their cage, which with the glass tank they cannot do. And then also plastic bin cages, that is again like a glass tank, but it's plastic. Those usually, if you don't have as big of a budget, that's a really good option for you. You can do like a little DIY bin cage, and you can get really big ones for them. But again, the same thing, they can't really climb, so if your hamster does like to climb a lot, that might not be the best option for you. Pretty much anything that isn't a critter trail I would recommend. Critter trails, that's usually the kind that they sell at the pet store, unfortunately, so a lot of people do get them, but they never are the big enough size. They are never 450 square inches, which is really sad. And then the types of food for hamsters, usually the main source of nutrition for them that people use is either a seed mix or a lab block. Seed mixes are pretty self-explanatory. It's a mix of the different types of seeds, and then usually they also have like corn and wheat mixed in. Lab blocks, they are just pellets that have all the nutrition that they need in it. Usually people use lab blocks if their hamster is really selective in their eating and they pick through and only eat certain things. If they use a lab block, that eliminates that because it's only the one thing that they can eat. I personally use a mix of a seed mix and a lab block because it helps with higher protein, because more protein is better. My seed mix is only 13.5% protein, but the lab block is 20%, so I mix them together to make it better. You can also incorporate fresh fruit and vegetables into their diet, which is recommended. I usually do carrots and apples and watermelon on occasion, but I'm sure there's different fruits and vegetables that you can use as well. And then also you can use treats within their diet that they sell like at the pet store. That should not be their main source of nutrition though, but like 1 or 2 a day, like once in a while sort of thing, that's fine. I do usually do dried fruit, dried carrots and peas, or yogurt drops. You just want to make sure you don't do too much sugar with them because hamsters, they can develop diabetes. So in conclusion, hamsters, they can be a fun, sweet pet, but I believe they're a lot more high maintenance than people make them out to be. I know even myself, when I first got him, I wanted a pretty low maintenance pet. Like I didn't want like a dog or something because I had just moved. But you do have to spot clean their cage every day, fresh food and water, that sort of time. So they are a little bit of a time commitment, but definitely not as bad as like a dog. Today I talked about the different types of hamsters, their proper cages, and what types of food that they can eat. They're living animals that deserve love and commitment. I definitely think that they should not be an impulse buy for you just because you're bored, but they can be a really fun pet to have.